Hey guys, and welcome back. And we're doing the part 2 for the last 6 stories of this compilation. Now let's get back into it. Okay, story 7.
The story is told in a female perspective. It happened to me when I was around 15 years old. I would always love going to this arcade that was located close to my house. The arcade was always open till late, so it was usually packed to full capacity. My parents didn't mind if I went by myself, as long as I made it back before my curfew was over. Every time I was at this arcade, I would always play with the Pac-Man machine. I don't know why, it's just I had a knack for Pac-Man, and it was my favorite game to play. Later that night, I remember seeing these two guys play the game Dance Dance Revolution. I always enjoyed watching others play it, as it was quite mesmerizing to say the least. That's when a random guy approached me from out of the blue and asked if I'd be interested in playing air hockey with him. I personally didn't see any harm in it, so I said, sure. He introduces himself as Ben, and I introduce myself as well. We end up playing a few rounds and even chatted for a bit. Ben was even generous enough to buy me a drink. I eventually noticed it was getting pretty late and realized it was probably close to my curfew. I checked my pockets and noticed my phone was missing. I didn't know if I forgot it at home or something, so I tell Ben that it was time for me to go. He then tells me that he needs to use the restroom and politely asks if I could keep an eye on his cell phone, which was charging on the wall along with his belongings.
Okay,
I said
what's
sure,
gonna happen?
and he proceeds to head to the restroom. I decided to call my cell phone using Ben's phone, just in case I accidentally dropped it somewhere in the arcade. I noticed he didn't have a pass lock on it, so it was pretty easy to use. I dial my number and surprisingly hear a cell phone ringing inside Ben's backpack. It sounded exactly like my ringtone. My phone must have been in his bag. I decide to open the bag, only to find my phone inside. I grab my phone and quickly place the backpack back on the table, just in case Ben came back. I felt really uncomfortable knowing he'd attempted to steal my phone, considering the fact that he came off as this really nice guy. I noticed he was still in the restroom, so I randomly scanned through Ben's phone. He didn't have any social media apps, which led me to believe he wasn't much of a social guy.
Okay.
I nosily decided to look through Ben's photos while occasionally looking up to see if he had come back from the restroom. What I saw in the photos made me want to throw up. It was photos of myself ranging from inside and outside the arcade. The photos range from a couple months ago till now. As I was swiping more and more, I realized this guy had been secretly stalking and taking photos of me. One photo that really sent chills down my spine was a candid-style photo of myself playing the Pac-Man machine with Ben standing right behind me. He must have had someone take the photo of us. I quickly delete all the photos of his phone. That's when someone named Greg texted Ben's phone saying, "Yo, Ben, is she still with you? I'm outside with the van." That's when I look up and see Ben staring at me with a creepy-ass smile. It was a smile that looked so exaggerated I couldn't tell if he was faking it or being for real. I told him that I was just checking the time because I'd forgotten my cell phone at home. He then says, "Want to come over to my place?" I honestly could have made a scene, but I took the high road and said, "Sure, but I need to use the restroom first." He then says, "Sure, let me walk you there." Ben walks me to the restroom, and I immediately took the opportunity to call my dad to come pick me up. I can see Ben glimpsing through the door every time someone exited the restroom like a creep. That's when I decided to tell two older girls I saw about my situation. They kindly escorted me outside, only to find Ben no longer there. I then get a call from my dad telling me to come outside and that he has arrived. I quickly rush into his car and act like nothing ever happened. To this day, I'm still traumatized from the encounter I had with Ben.
Yeah, I won't count this time since
I lay on my bed from time to time.
I already made it to a
pondering
halfway point.
the sick plan he was orchestrating that night. All I know is that I don't plan on going back to that arcade anytime soon.
Nah, that's just funny.
So about 3 weeks ago, I started having these strange dreams, often involving little things happening in a different order than usual.
Okay.
It started off pretty normal. My school bus came down my street from an abnormal direction. For some reason, this stuck with me. The dreams were kind of, like an anthology. The second dream followed the next night. The dream started the same, but this time, I got on the bus. People's faces were just blurry, and an odd middle-aged man sat behind me, which is all seeing as how it's a school bus. The man whispered to me, but I didn't understand what he said. The next night, I had the same dream, but a few minor differences. This time I understood what he said. Remember, don't ask questions. I really didn't understand what he meant by that. The next day I sat in class. I kind of fell asleep during the lecture in my psychology class. The dream continued where it left off. The strange man stood up, and the bus flipped. Before I woke up, he kept repeating a name. I didn't understand it. When I woke up, my mom was calling me, and I stepped outside of the classroom, so I had to answer. My mother informed me that my estranged father had passed. She sent me a link of the obituary. There was a picture of the strange man. Was it some kind of intuition, or my mind playing tricks on me? After that, the dream stopped. I still haven't figured out what the last thing he said was. I guess I'll never know.
The man with 20%. Okay,
This
that's a
story
weird
is told from a female perspective. It happened to me a couple of months ago. I was on a dating app called Tinder. I matched with this one guy that I found attractive. He had a clean-shaven head. He was more appealing compared to the other guys on the app. His profile said he was the same age as me, 25. The bio in his profile was intriguing. It read, "I am the most versatile person you will ever meet. I compare myself to a chameleon because I like to be different and spontaneous, randomly. You should join me." This made me compelled to chat with him. He then sends me a direct message saying, "Hi, I'm Dennis." I sent him a message back introducing myself and asked him what brings him on Tinder. He responds by saying, "Want to have dinner at my place tonight?" Ignoring the fact that I just asked him a question. Without hesitation, I message, "Sure." I usually wouldn't be so forward with someone I just met online, but something seemed compelling about this guy. He then sent me his address and mentioned that he'll be inviting a few friends. I messaged him back saying, "Okay," and waited till then. Later that night, I drove to his address and arrived at his front door. As soon as I'm about to knock on the front door, it opens, with Dennis staring dead at me. He had a blank expression on his face and didn't say a word. I found this very,
Don't
very
go in.
bizarre and creepy. About 10 seconds later, he says hi, then leans over to give me a hug. He tells me to come inside, and I stupidly go inside. As we arrive inside, I sit on the couch, and Dennis immediately asks me if I want anything to drink. I tell him, "Water, please." He then tells me that Patricia only drinks tea. I was confused by who he was referring to. I asked him who Patricia was. He then tells me that she is one of his friends that he invited over. I tell him, "Okay." Then he proceeds to give me some tea in his kitchen. A couple of minutes pass, and the most bizarre thing happens. Dennis comes out of the kitchen with 2 cups of tea, dressed as an adolescent child. He wore a yellow hoodie and blue track pants. The clothes honestly look like they belong to a teenage boy. He places the 2 cups of tea on the table and reintroduces himself again, saying his name is Hedwig, in a creepy child's voice. I found this really disturbing and assumed that this was some sort of sick joke. I awkwardly put on a fake smile and go along with the alleged joke. At this point, he tells me, "Drink the tea." Again in a disturbing child's voice. I really didn't
So he
want to.
literally has
And
like
knew I
more
had
than
to
one
get the hell out of there.
personality
So I cleverly say,
and identity.
"Don't we have to wait for your friend, Patricia?" He got angry and said that if I don't drink it, he would release the beast. He honestly sounded like the type of child that throws tantrums when their parents don't buy them things that they want. I was trembling in fear and didn't know if he was armed or had a knife on him, so I drank it. The room suddenly started becoming blurry, and I eventually started fading, then blacked out. I assume it was from whatever he put in tea.
Yeah,
I
probably.
then remember waking up on the floor and seeing a woman standing in front of me. The woman was wearing burgundy.
It was him, wasn't it?
Burgundy long-sleeve shirt, black skirt, and some heels. I eventually get up from the floor and rub my eyes to see that the woman was Dennis, dressed as a female. I remember thinking to myself, this guy is a psycho. He then said, I'm Patricia. Would you like to have a tea party with me? In a female-like voice. I thought to myself, this guy is so fucked up. I acted fast and told him, I'll be interested in a tea party only if you invited Hedwig back, which was the teenage boy he imitated earlier. Surprisingly, he obliged and walked back into the kitchen to supposedly get Hedwig. I immediately used this opportunity to haul ass out of there and drive home. It's been a month since the
Probably
incident occurred.
best.
I haven't taken effort to report it to the police. I don't know if that was the smartest decision, but as I tell you this story, it still resonates with me until this day.
Yeah, delete in there. It'll do a good job.
This is the most terrifying thing that has ever happened. I want to share my story with the world, now that I have closure. It all started a couple years ago when I was living with my girlfriend.
Okay.
We'll call Sarah for the sake of the story. I remember we were both in the living room watching a movie. We usually did movie nights on Fridays, and it was my turn to select which movie we would watch. I was personally a horror fanatic, so I chose a horror film. It was pretty late in the night when this occurred, so it really made the movie that much more intense.
You're watching
Sarah
old videos.
wasn't really into the horror genre, so you can imagine the kind of reaction she had throughout the movie. Midway into the movie, Sarah asked if I could walk her to the bedroom. I reply by saying, sure, after the movie's done.
You know I don't like horror. Please just walk me to the bedroom. I'm scared, Trevor.
Okay, just do it.
We can leave when the movie's done. I sat through your whole movie last week, so it's only fair that you finish mine.
Please don't do this to me. I'm really scared, Trevor.
Oh, they actually
Quit being
used...
a chicken. I'm not leaving the couch till this movie's done.
I hate you!
Sarah angrily gets up and heads to the bedroom
Yeah,
on her
sure,
own,
just
while
listened.
I continue watching the movie and mentally prepare myself for the argument that awaited me. About 10 minutes later, my throat begins to itch, so I decide to get a bottle of water in the kitchen. As I stood up from the couch, I get startled as I see Sarah standing in the darkness of the hallway. Sarah, you scared me. I thought you were in bed sleeping. Sarah just stands there with her eyes wide open, gazing into my eyes with her emotionless expression, almost like she was looking into the depths of my soul. I assumed she was still upset about earlier, so I said, I'll be waiting in bed, as I casually walk past her. As I open the bedroom door, I see Sarah laying in bed asleep. My mind raced with mixed emotions of confusion and absolute horror. I could have sworn I just saw her.
Oh.
I decide to peek outside the hallway, only to see nothing. This can't be real. I could have sworn I just saw her. I must
Don't
be
tell me
loose.
she's
I
in
just
the second
need
one.
to stop watching scary movies this late at night. I disregard what had just occurred and crawled into bed with Sarah. At 3 a.m. in the morning, I wake up to a loud sound which sounded like glass being shattered. I noticed Sarah was no longer in bed with me, which I found quite bizarre as it was very uncharacteristic for her to be awake at this time of night. I could hear weird noises coming from the washroom outside the bedroom. I cautiously get up and began to approach the washroom. I could hear Sarah in there. It sounded like she was talking to someone, or something. I opened the door, only to discover the most terrifying thing I had ever laid eyes on. I can see Sarah standing in the bathtub covered in blood. She had smashed the mirror and used the broken shards to lacerate her body entirely. She then began yelling the words, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you! Her voice was demonic. I was thoroughly convinced that this was not my girlfriend and that she had been possessed by some sort of evil entity.
Yeah, I would as well.
I stood there quivering, not being able to move a muscle out of shell shock. Sarah then pulls the shower curtain, unveiling a message on the wall which spelled, "I hate you," written in blood. My legs go completely numb as I collapse to the floor. Sarah then picks up a large piece of the broken mirror and yells one last time in her demonic voice, "I hate you!" She then pierces the shard across my chest repeatedly, stabbing and stabbing and stabbing. I remember seeing a bright white light as my life flashed before me. That's when I open my eyes and wake up to a movie playing in the living room. This isn't the horror movie I played earlier. It must have been a movie Sarah put on. I checked the time and it was exactly 3 a.m. I looked to my right only to see Sarah staring dead at me with a grimacing look. What's wrong, Sarah?
This is the third time you fell asleep to the movie that I picked on movie night. I hate you.
Wait, what?
Sarah? Sarah?
Don't tell me it repeat itself. Jesus. No need to get bloody possessed by a fucking demon. Well, I can certainly say you're fucked. In more places than one. Well, that's something I'll never get out of my brain.
I remember this like it was yesterday.
Oh, good.
My brother and I were home alone.
Wait, no, that's not good.
While our parents went
Crap.
out with their friends. He's 17 and I'm 13. My brother left soon after my parents, even though he was supposed to stay home. Recently, a new neighbor just moved in next door. Some old guy. I saw him speaking with our parents the first day at his house.
Okay.
Anyway, we live in Florida, and it was the winter time, so it wasn't too cold. I say this because we have a pool in our backyard that's heated, and I love swimming.
Yeah, that's something, I guess.
At around 10:30 p.m., I decided to go swimming. I called my friend to let him know. So he said he'll come over. He only lives about a street away. I started to swim some laps, and as I come up for some air, I saw the old man from next door standing outside of our fence leaning against the gate.
It's Roshi's incarnation.
With a smile on his face. I lost all form in my swimming strokes and he completely stopped. I played it cool and I said hi. He didn't even say hi, he went straight to, "I noticed that your parents aren't home." I told him that my older brother is, and he then said, "Nah, he's not. I didn't see him when I was watching you through your bedroom window." I didn't say
Head back
anything.
inside
I
now.
was just shocked. He opened up the gate and started to speed walk toward me. I began to back up in order to climb out of the pool while yelling help. He was getting closer, then he stopped and looked behind me. My friend was on the other side of the fence running toward us, and also on the phone with the cops. My neighbor ran into his house. The cops came, but the old man denied everything. He didn't know that my friend recorded him before he called the cops.
Oh.
He was arrested and eventually moved away. I don't know what his plan was, but I'm glad my friend showed up. Obviously, my parents were pissed at my brother for leaving when he was supposed to stay at home to watch me. But they were happy I was okay. To this day, I haven't seen that guy since.
Is there like one more, or did I miss? Yeah, one more. McDonald's. Everyone's got their own creepy stories.
My boss assigned a schedule amongst our staff. I was unfortunately scheduled for the night shift on Fridays. I didn't usually mind.
Just be happy you got a shift.
My boss was pretty laid back and didn't mind if I went on my phone during business hours, so long as I got all my work done. I remember dozing off repeatedly due to the fact that I wasn't fully acclimated with the night shift hours.
Yeah, makes sense.
That's when I heard someone making a psst sound, The kind of sound you make when you try to draw someone's attention. I notice a customer trying to make an order outside, so I quickly greet them with my usual, "Hi, welcome to McDonald's. May I take your order?" I then heard a man say, "One Whopper, please."
What?
"Yes, I would like one Whopper, please."
Does it?
I couldn't tell if he was being a smartass or not, so
Why does the voice sound like the frickin' Joker?
We don't serve that here. I heard him chuckling profusely after I said
Well, Ronald McDonald fused with Joker? That's what it sounds
I quickly
like.
checked the security camera, only to see a clown. The clown was standing in front of the drive-thru menu without a car. It's not Halloween. Why the hell is this guy dressed up like that? I really didn't want to serve this guy, so I decided to use our company policy as a plausible excuse for him to exit the premises. "Hi, sir. Unfortunately, you need to be in a vehicle in order to purchase something here." "If you don't have a Whopper, I'll take a Baconator instead." I now could tell this guy was some random psycho harassing me.
Huh.
I instinctively yelled, "Get the hell out of here before I call the cops!"
Yep, too
I
loud. Hold
cautiously
on.
stick my head out the window, only to see the clown no longer there.
Wait,
A
so
couple
what?
hours later, near the end of my shift, I notify my boss and fellow employees regarding the situation. They all dismiss my accusations by saying ignorant things like, "Did you get his autograph?" Or, "It was probably some guy that thought it was Halloween." I annoyingly pretend to be amused and head home. The following Friday, it was my time to work the night shift again. I really dreaded working this shift, especially after what transpired that day. I tried to convince myself that it would be highly unlikely that
Wait, if it's a McDonald's, does it have like security?
As time went on, I remember dozing off as I get startled by another psst sound. I
No.
urgently check the security camera, but don't see anyone present. At this point, I genuinely thought I was hearing things due to my subconscious mind thinking about the clown. My paranoia must have been
No,
at the peak
no,
of its
no,
height.
no,
And so
no,
I turned
no,
my head towards the
no.
drive-thru window, only to see the clown staring dead at me. "If you don't make me a Big Mac, I will kill you. Trevor." My heart
Take a
sank to my
picture,
stomach.
take a picture.
The clown knew my name. I immediately grabbed my cell phone to call the cops, but my hands were trembling so much that I actually wasn't capable of dialing anything. The clown started banging his head on the glass while screaming my name, Trevor, repeatedly. "Trevor, Trevor, Trevor, I am not loving it! Trevor, 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 Trevor!" I see blood dripping down from his head. I started shouting from the top of my lungs, "Leave me alone or I will call the cops!" The clown runs away as another car approaches the drive-thru lot. I stupidly resume work and wait for my boss to come in. Upon his arrival, I explain the entire situation to him. He then dismisses me by saying, "Don't sweat it, kid. It was probably some drunk. You can go home now." As he was talking, I noticed a cut on his forehead. I can even see blood start to drip from it. No, it can't be. "Goodbye, Trevor." No.
No, no. The bloody manager was the one behind it. Jesus fucking Christ. Yep, boss became Ronald McDonald's reincarnation. He became the spirit of all evil. Oh, boy, that's never gonna leave me, is it? Well, can't hurt a guy for trying. Anyway, that was that video. If you guys liked, if that's the best way to say it, liked this video, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow for the next reaction video. Thank you.